Hello, welcome to Win Some Loosemore. My name is Dieter and you join me for my top 10 games I've ever played. I do this periodically. I haven't done it for a little while now, but I thought it was about time. There have been quite a few games that have come and gone over this time. Just to update it, some big things have changed if you've followed these before. If you hit the eye that will appear, it'll take you to the older lists if you want to watch those, see how things have changed. But these are my top 10. Don't worry, I'm looking down here. This is where my laptop is. I'm just reading them off because I can think of a lot of what they are. I could probably name them all off the top of my head because I love them so much. But the order has changed even today. Just before I did it, I've tweaked it, moved it around. It's constantly in flux as I play things. It's heavily influenced by what we've played recently. So some things have dropped a bit. Some things have dropped off completely because I wasn't playing them, so I sold them. I really appreciate their design, but they just weren't suitable anymore. We just weren't playing them because we're playing other things that we enjoyed more, whatever it might be. Some things have gone, some things have moved up and down on the list just because we're currently playing them a lot and I'm enjoying them a lot, or we haven't played them in a little while and I still remember them fondly and I love them and I want to play them. We just happen to be playing other things. So this is not a hard and fast thing. That's why I update it relatively frequently. I think this has been the most change in any of the lists, but I'll start from 10, work my way up to number 1. And I will tell you, since the last time I've done this list, my number 1 has finally changed. So you can't just skip at number 3 to go, well, we know what its top 3 are. It's all changed. Number 10, very difficult to really say. There's about 2, 3, 4 games that could have been in this spot. I have given it to the Seventh Continent, which has been on the top 10 list, I think, since I've had the game and since I've been doing these lists, in fact. I got rid of the big box version. That was a Kickstarter only, because I got the big box expansion as well, and we just weren't playing it enough to warrant having that. And then they announced that they were releasing a retail version, so I was really excited, sold on all the big stuff and used that money to buy the retail version, which is much smaller, fits on the shelf much nicer. But as it turns out, we haven't yet played that version. It's been a month or so, so that's why it's down at number 10. I love this game. I want to be playing it more if I get more time, particularly if you're watching this as it's happening. The coronavirus thing is happening. There may be lockdowns or something in the future. We don't know what's happening at this point, but it may free up some time. That's not necessarily a good thing, but it's a good opportunity to any excuse to play games. This might be one that I sit down and do on my own. I just love it. Where you're exploring this world, trying to solve a curse. I've got a couple of the expansion curses that you can buy as well. So I've got a lot of content, a lot to explore. Really looking forward to it. You're flipping cards to resolve the actions and just crazy stuff happens. You fight things, you need to hunt and explore and discover and build campfires and all this stuff. So it's just this massive open world exploration type thing. Love it a lot. Seventh Continent. Number 9 is a 2 to 3 player game called Santorini. I would really only recommend playing it 2 player, just because it just works really well. Abstract strategy game. We are physically building up these buildings, but to try and stand on top of them. The theme is a bit weird. That's why it's an abstract strategy. The theme doesn't really matter. It doesn't really come into play, but it looks beautiful. The board itself is 3D. It's on a little plinth, and then you're building up these physical buildings and moving your people around. And then there's this deck of god cards that give you a different power every time you play. So we've had a lot of fun with this in recent times. As you know, we play a lot of 2-player games mostly, or play as 2 players mostly, so 2-player games tend to do well on my list. Santorini is a really good example, and often around the £20-25 mark, so a good one to check out, Santorini. Back into my top 10, Century Spice Road. Now, this was there very originally, and then it dropped off because it was just dragging a little bit. I'd played some other things that I enjoyed more. Now, partly, we've played it a bit more recently, and so I'm excited about it again, but mostly because I realized that I had been teaching it and playing it wrong. There was just a single rule which was causing the game to drag out a little bit. It was still fun, it was still good, the turns were really quick, but it was just slowing down the progress of the game because I was doing, if you're doing a transaction, you just do that once because production cards you only do once, and my brain just went, oh, you can produce once, If it's a production card, upgrade as many times as it says, because that's that. Therefore, transaction cards are just once. But no, it's as many times as you can afford. And so that just allows you to play off even bigger combos, do even bigger things, get your engine running much faster. And so it's just become more exciting. It's become more fun to play again. Love it. Century Spice Road, a really good one. My number 8. Number 7, a bigger game, Tapestry. We've enjoyed a lot since it's come out in the new year. And yeah, we've never really tried Civilization games before. The art style from Andrew Bosley is incredible. Jamie Stegmaier and Stonemaier Games are probably still my favourite publisher, and he's one of my favourite designers. It just works for us. I totally get why it doesn't for everyone. It can be so variable that your combination of Civilization and Tapestry cards just might not work, and that's okay. I'm all right with that. I still have fun doing the process, and there are 4 clear directions to go in and which one suits, and trying to figure all that stuff out just suits the way my brain works. The tactile experience of those landmarks, again, could have been tiles, could have been all sorts of different things, who knows. I just love the tactile nature of this game, which was part of his aim, so well done. Tapestry is my number 7, love it a lot. Number 6, I love slightly more, Small World, and again, a style of game I don't particularly look for. This is an area control style game, but one that has stuck on my list the whole time, up and down a couple of spaces, but it's around here usually. Just gives me a lot of satisfaction seeing how the races and powers go together, to see these crazy combinations and different powers to pull off some incredible moves that you've just never thought possible before. We've got one of the expansion packs, which just adds in even more variety. We played it again at 2, and I do like it at 2. I always thought 2's not great, but it's good fun because they scale the board depending on how many players. I've taken it to my group a couple of times recently, and I've just had a lot of fun with it. So it's Small World, great production as well from Days of Wonder. Number 5, we're into more familiar territory, Concordia, a big, dry, dull Euro that is a lot of fun and very fast. It's kind of the card play of Century Spice Road on this big map, trying to explore and exploit and get different resources to score different points kinds of game. And so generally, if we want a long and involved but almost relaxed game, typically in my group this is the one we'll gravitate towards. We're all familiar with it. There's not the cutthroat combat. It's more just, am I being more efficient than you, and how do we do that? And there's some interaction in there, but it's more about getting to places first so it's cheaper and that kind of thing. And so it's a comfortable game for us that is just very satisfying. Win, lose, doesn't matter. You have to do really badly to be a bit annoyed at this game, and that's kind of either because you're learning it, in which case you might enjoy it, or you just played a bad game and move on, get it next time. But a lot of fun. Doesn't matter how dull it looks. Still great fun. Concordia, number 3. Shot into number 3. Nope, I've skipped one. Number 4. Learn to count. Is Onitama, my second top ranked 2-player only game. This is another abstract strategy game in the chess style capture the other side type game, where you've actually only got 5 pieces each, and if you get your sensei, your master, your king to the other person's home base, you win, or if you can capture their master, their sensei, you win. So those are the 2 ways of winning, and that sounds fine enough, but it's card driven, and there's only the same 5 cards. There are 16 cards it could be, and you deal out 5 at the beginning of each game, and those are the only 5 moves available to both of you. So you have ownership over 2 of them, and the 5th one is floating around, and so as you use one, that becomes the new floating one, and you take the one that was off to the side into your collection now. And so you have to think about, how do I use my moves to win, but also which moves am I giving away? I don't want to allow them to do that move because that will help them do that. So it could be 5 minutes, it could be 15, but it's very tense, a lot of fun, very interesting, works with a wide range of ages I've found. I taught it to quite a few people recently, of a wide range, and it's worked really well. Production quality doesn't hurt. Thick, chunky pieces, neoprene matte, lovely. Number 4, Onitama. Number 3, there you go, got there in the end, is Vindication. This is a massive game in content, I suppose, rather than scope, although the variety that can be in the game gives it kind of that scope as well. Each game can be completely different. Again, it's a Euro-style resource management game. You're just pushing cubes around to exert influence, to get points, to honor in this. But there's just 12 things you can do. You've got the same 3 actions each turn: move, activate and visit. That's it. But you could go fight monsters, you could go get companions, you could go get pets, you could get traits, you could get relics, you could go after mastery, you can go after control of the board, you can go get more secret quests to do that. There's just so much you can do, and the game, just in the base box with the current edition, just comes with 2 big box expansions and then loads of little tiles that you can throw in. So there's just so much that you can do with this game, and we're having a lot of fun with it. So that's Vindication. Number 2. For the longest time, my number 1, and partly this is because the number 1 has kind of overtaken it, and partly because we actually haven't played it in a little while, so we'll see if we play it again where it will settle to in the end. But this is Scythe. Again, for Jamie Stegmaier and Stonemaier Games, this was kind of the big game that drew us into kind of the level that we enjoy the hobby now. We had Star Realms and a couple of smaller games which we enjoyed, but this was the first kind of big game that asked us to think in a different way, that was going to take an hour and a half, that just had this incredible production, really drew us in. So it stayed at the top for me for a very long time. Just a basic action selection game. You choose one of the 4 things, but as you go through the game, those actions get better, you get to upgrade things. There's lots of different ways to get the stars that you need to trigger the end of the game and get points. As I say, production's exceptional, but I have to say my number 1 has just overtaken in terms of how much I think about it, how much I want to play it, how much I'm excited to see everything that the game has to offer. This is Keyforge. Yes, it makes me a sad nerd, but I love it so much, and I've bought far too many decks, and even not that many. People go out and buy boxes of them at a time. I don't have anywhere near that amount, but you could just find the 2 decks that you love and just play those forever. And I do that. I have about the 5 or 6 that I just want to pull out every time I teach it to new people. But I love just getting just one more deck every, I don't know, 6 months or so, or every time a new set comes out, just getting a couple of those decks and then just throwing it in, against everything else I already have, just to see how it compares, how the mechanics work, because it's the deck is preset and unique and randomly generated, and so you don't know what you get until you buy it, and then that's your deck. You can't alter it, and so you've got to work out within this good game. I really enjoy the game as is. The mechanics work for me. They solve some of the issues I have with some other CCGs and TCGs, those kind of things. They solve that, but just the meta game of how does everything fit together in this random, unique deck system fascinates me. I will happily play both sides myself, just to be playing the game, just to be exploring, and it's one that Kirsty happily plays with me as well. So it's our most played game easily, despite it being out half the time of some of these others on the list. But yeah, so I have a new number 1. It is Keyforge. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, what games do you enjoy, stick them down in the comments below. We love hearing from you. As such, do connect with us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can just search Win Some Loosemore and find us there. If you like the content we put out, do consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon so you stay updated when we put out new stuff. Well, thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you again on the next one. I have been Dieter for Win Some Loosemore. Goodbye.